Hi ladies, and welcome to Kindness Milk, where I like to share my own breastfeeding journey and support mothers to reach their individual breastfeeding goal. I'm Regina Kincaid. I'm an international board certified lactation consultant, mum of four, and online course creator of Breastfeeding Basics, a practical guide. Today I thought it would be fun to make some no-bake lactation bites with you. I found this recipe by Abby Rodriguez from thebutterhalf.com, and it looks like it's fairly easy and straightforward, no baking required whatsoever, and it also sounds promising as she uses two popular galactogogues, which are firstly fenugreek and secondly brewer's yeast. So you might ask yourself, what's a galactogogue? So a galactogogue is a substance that has the potential to increase your milk supply, and it can be a food, it can be plant-based or synthetic. Now, galactogogues are not meant to produce a milk supply, they're only meant to support what you already have, as milk production is predominantly hormonally steered by the hormones prolactin, the hormone of milk production, and oxytocin, which is also called the love hormone, that is responsible for your milk release. And also, secondly, milk production is steered by early, frequent and effective milk removal. So it's very important that your baby is attached effectively at the breast and transfers milk effectively, so that your body gets the signals to produce more milk. So if you have any problems in those areas, either with the hormonal side of milk production, or there might be latching or feeding issues that your baby is not frequently emptying the breast, anything like that, it is really advisable that you do not try to treat that with galactogogues or just by eating lactation cookies or drinking tea. Those are really issues that you should discuss with your healthcare professional, your lactation consultant in particular. Also, not every galactogogue is safe for every mother, so that's why I wanted to mention here, before we start making the lactation cookies, I want to just mention quickly about fenugreek. Fenugreek is a popular herb in the Asian cuisine, but there's also some evidence that has shown that fenugreek can lower your blood sugar, especially if you're diabetic, or interfere with your diabetic medicine. Also, if you have low thyroid function, such as hypothyroidism, it can also interfere with your thyroid hormone production, and potentially even have the opposite effect of increasing milk supply. And also, as fenugreek is related or is in the same group as peanuts and chickpeas, if you have an allergy against peanuts or chickpeas, be very cautious with using fenugreek. As a general advice, I would say always check with your lactation consultant or healthcare provider whether you are safe to use fenugreek. And if you're not, it's no problem to make these lactation bites and just leave out the fenugreek and only use the brewer's yeast. So let's look at the ingredients. I decided to make double the recipe because we're a family of 6, and I know that it won't just be me who will be having these lactation bites. I'm sure my kids will also help themselves to some of the bites. I've made a similar recipe in the past, and it went down a treat with them. If they don't increase your milk supply, then they're at least a nutritious snack, and they provide some extra needed calories for breastfeeding. Typically, if you decide to use the galactogogues in this recipe, you will have to consume the bites over 2 to 3 days up to a week to see an increase in your milk production. And also, as I mentioned earlier, not every mother sees an increase in her milk supply when she takes fenugreek. So what do we have here now? So we're starting with what we'll need is 4 tablespoons of maple syrup. Then we have 2/3 of a cup of melted coconut oil. I'll have to melt it a little bit more in the microwave now in a minute. Then we have 1 cup of chopped dates, 2 cups of oatmeal, half a cup of flaxseed. Now you can see those red bits in the flaxseed are some dried cranberry. Then moving on, we have 4 cups of chia seeds, half a cup of brewer's yeast, then 2.5 teaspoons of fenugreek. So the recipe comes with the instructions of capsules, and I'll leave the link to the Kelly Mum website in the description box below. She suggests that 1 capsule is equivalent to 1/4 teaspoon of fenugreek powder. Then we have 2 cups of dark chocolate chips. We will need half a teaspoon of ground cinnamon and half a teaspoon of vanilla extract. So this is everything. So let's get into making. So first I'm going to melt the coconut oil a little bit more in the microwave. So first we're adding the maple syrup, peanut butter, coconut oil and chopped dates to a food processor. Now I'm going to blend all this. Next, adding the oatmeal, the flaxseed, the chia seeds, the brewer's yeast, the fenugreek, of course the chocolate chips, and the rest of the ingredients. And then blend all this until the dough pulls together. Now it's still a little bit dry, and I don't think I can form these into little balls or bites yet, so I'm just going to add a little bit more maple syrup to and hope it will glue together a little bit better. If not, I might need to add a bit more coconut oil as well. So now that I've added a little bit more coconut, the mixture sticks together much better. I think I'll be here a while. In the end, it turned out to make more than 24 balls or bites, so the mixture was plenty. Now that they're done, I'm going to try one of them just to see how they taste. They are actually quite nice. They're not too bitter. I would have thought that you would get quite a bitter aftertaste. It's okay. Yeah. See, he wants to nurse. Yeah, I thought you would get quite a bitter aftertaste from the brewer's yeast, but because of the chocolate chips, I think the maple syrup and the dates, they are actually quite sweet. So I will take over the next 2 to 3 days, I'll probably eat about 2 to 3 per day, and I will report back in between 3 days and a week. Yeah, to see whether they have done anything to my milk supply. I don't really need to increase my milk supply, as little man is actually turning 2 in a week. Yes, and he normally only feeds at night time now, but he's quite tired. And I will report back whether the lactation bites have done anything to my milk supply. I'm gonna put them in the fridge. I think 2 to 3 per day is probably about the right amount, but you can really eat them as required or as needed. What I've heard, another great tip as well, is that you can freeze them and take them out when you go into labor, put them in your hospital bag, and you have a healthy, nutritious snack at hand that will set you up on your breastfeeding journey. Remember, again, be very careful with the fenugreek if you're not sure whether it's suitable or compatible with you, or if you have any underlying health issues. Hi ladies, it's now 4 days later and I'm reporting back with my verdict on the lactation balls that I made 4 days ago. You can see I have transferred them into a smaller container, so I would say I've eaten on average 3 to 4 per day. So in terms of taste, I would give them a 4 to 5 out of 5. They are really yummy. In terms of difficulty for making them, they are very easy, straightforward to make. They don't take long once you've measured out all your ingredients. And as the title says, there are no bake lactation balls, so you don't even have to put them in the oven. They, even after 4 days now, they taste pretty fresh. It's good to keep them in a sealed container in the fridge though. Now, of course, the main thing that you would like to know probably is whether they did anything to my milk supply. It's a little bit tricky to say because my toddler is nearly 2 and I don't know whether any galactogogue you take at that stage of breastfeeding, whether that would do a lot to your milk supply, because I'm not in the early days anymore, the first 6 to 8 weeks where you have high levels of prolactin in your blood that would work in favor for increasing your milk supply anyhow. And if you take any galactogogues during that time, you might be more likely to see a significant increase in your milk supply when you're taking galactogogues. But nevertheless, I would say that I have felt a little bit more fullness, in particular in my left breast. So my toddler only nurses from my left breast now, not from my right anymore. I will talk about this in a separate video sometime in the near future. But if you ask me whether I could feel any noticeable change in my breast, I would say that my left breast felt a little bit fuller. I would, especially usually this time of the month when I'm just due my period, I usually experience a little bit of a drop in milk supply where he would feed particularly a lot at night time. That hasn't been the case over the last half a week or so. So I would say that is probably linked a little bit to the lactation cookies. So overall, definitely I would I recommend these lactation balls with or without the galactogogues, depending on your own personal circumstances. I would particularly recommend these lactation balls for mothers who are in the early postpartum period. He loves them too. So they're also a healthy snack for your kids. Is it tasty? They're yummy. Yeah, I would particularly recommend these lactation bites for mothers in the early postpartum period when you're building your milk supply, not just for your milk supply but also as an easy to grab snack when you're feeding a lot in those early days. If you enjoyed this video and would like to see more videos like this one, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more. I'm aiming to upload 3 times a month, and I hope that I will be able to do so, but sometimes I'm just busy with my 4 kids, but that's ideally what I'm hoping I'll be able to commit to. You can also follow me on Instagram at kindestmilk, and otherwise until next time, hope your breastfeeding journey is going well.